talking about Abraham's son, Isaac. He had another son as well, Ishmael. He also had children with a third wife, Keturah. There's 5 sons that he had, and there's a famous name in that family. So what Isaac had 2 sons, what were their names? Yeah, we have Esau, we forget that time, and Jacob. Jacob, which means to grab the heel. Yeah, he was quite the crook. And so Jacob fooled his brother for a bowl of soup. He fooled his father with the help of his mother. And now he's gone to live with who? Laban, that's right. And we call him the super crook. And so before he arrives to Laban's house, he meets someone. Do you remember who that was? It was before Rachel. No, he's met someone else. Anybody know? Oh, somebody else. Not Jeff. No, his name's not that. He met the Lord. He meets the Lord. Jacob meets the Lord. He sees him in a vision, or a dream of angels climbing up and down ladders. And the Lord promises to Jacob, blesses him, and says that he will exalt you and establish your seed. The same promise of Abraham and Isaac. That your lineage will succeed just like that. And what was Jacob's reply? And he says, if you do these things, Jacob replies to the Lord, then I will believe. I will call you my God. He's saying, you're not my God right now. You're the God of my father, Isaac, and of my father, Abraham. And that was harsh. That comes later. Okay, so now he's on the way to Laban's house. And he decides that he needs. They make an agreement as he's been with Laban for a while. He wants to be with Rachel. He makes an agreement to work for 7 years. But in the morning, he's shocked to find out that it's not Rachel. It's Leah. He closes his eyes and makes a wish. He looks over and, oh no, it's still Leah. It's still not Rachel. So he comes to Laban and he said, what's wrong with you? What's up with this? And Laban said, oh, that's normal here. Oh, you didn't know? You didn't know how our culture was? We always give away the eldest first. So do you want to work 7 more years for my other daughter? So Jacob has been doing the fooling all along, but now he's received the other end of that. So we will end chapter 29 and begin chapter 30. We will see some children being born. We'll see who God blesses, their names, what the names of the children mean, why the mothers named them this way. It's an interesting study of names of Jacob's children that we're going to see today. So, since Abraham and Isaac had lived through these areas, and they built altars in Shechem, in Bethel, in Bethlehem, in Beersheba. Excuse me, I believe that's Hebron. So Esau currently lives in this area down south. And Jacob has fled to, do we remember where? That's correct, north. So he's made his way all the way to this region to the north. Do we remember the name of that country? Paddan Aram. I think that's an interesting name, but yeah, that's the name of that area. No, it's not England. England's way up north. We're not even near there. Oh, that name was, no, that's a Hebrew name for that area. I'm assuming. I don't know Hebrew, but I don't know, but maybe you're right. Maybe it was the name what was translated to English. So we see Leah was married to Jacob first, and Laban caused Jacob to spend a week with her, and then I will give you Rachel. And so as the week passes, he gives Rachel to her. So I want you to take a look at this in verse 30. And he went in also unto Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah. That's who he met at first, and that's who he wanted to marry. So what can we blame Leah for at this point? Nothing. She's innocent. She's completely innocent. She is the oldest daughter. Is she ugly? Maybe, or maybe she's not as beautiful as Rachel, but you know, when Jacob's eyes met Rachel, he was blown away. He probably felt kind of stuck with Leah. And so, but he loved Rachel. And when the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. And Leah conceived and bare a son, and she called his name Reuben. For she said, Surely the Lord hath looked upon my affliction. Now therefore my husband will love me. I mean, this is sad. I hate this. Because Rachel, because back then in their culture, if someone, it was important to have a lineage. You know, Abraham waited years and years to have a son. And then Isaac had 2 sons. And now we see Leah having a son, being happy about it. And she's thinking, maybe my husband will love me now. And she names her son Reuben, which means, look, I've got a son. I have a son for you. Do you love me? These are these emotions she's Unfortunately, no. The answer is no. They have a second son, and she conceived again, and bare a son, and said, Because the Lord hath heard that I was hated, he hath therefore given me this son also. And she called his name Simon, or Simeon, which means hearing. Because the Lord heard me, I will name him Simeon. Did Jacob love her? Unfortunately, no. And she conceived again and bare a son, and said, Now this time my husband be jointed unto me, because I have borne him 3 sons. Therefore was his name called Levi, which means joined together. And that's what she's saying. What do we mean by that? Joined together. Like joined together with me. So understand this, that Rachel and Leah have separate tents. We'll see that later in the story. Jacob was probably not at Leah's tent most of the time. He spent most of his time with Rachel, but he would still tend to Leah's tent. He would spend most of his time with Rachel because he loved her. You know, Leah is saying, I have 3 of your sons. Please come, let's be joined together. But still the answer is no. She conceived again and bare a son, and she said, Now will I praise the Lord. Therefore she called his name Judah, and left barren. You know, she decided, I'm not going to rely on Jacob to give me pleasure. I've had 3 sons, no more. On this 4th son, I will look to the Lord and praise his name. I mean, wow. It doesn't make sense. Like, how can he take enjoyment in her? Yeah, how does Jacob, how can he get her pregnant and take pleasure in her? I mean, yeah, she's bearing sons for him. He should be having joy for her. Yeah, but how could he even get in bed with her if they didn't have a relationship? I mean, you want me to go? I can go deep into that if you want me to. If you really want me to. TMI, okay, too much information. So is Rachel always available? I don't know. No, maybe she's on her period or she's not available. Jacob might visit Leah because Rachel's not available, or she's sick, or whatever she might be dealing with growing up. And for his own pleasure, he's visited Leah. And it's a blessing that he's had 4 children from her. And that's what she said, I've had these children for you, but you keep spending time with Rachel, even though she's provided you no children yet. Is that a satisfactory answer? Yes? Okay. All right. So now we see Jacob. He has 4 sons, and they're all from Leah. These are quite interesting things. We can see where she's turned to the Lord by her 4th child. And so she's felt jealous at this point after her fourth son that she's bearing for Jacob. Are we moving too fast? You want to take a look at the names? Okay. So Levi.
No.
I didn't see the question. Did I mention the tribes yet? No, I haven't mentioned it yet. But yes, you're right. All of these 4 sons will become tribes of Israel in the future. I mean, technically there's 13 tribes, but we'll discuss that later. But do we recognize these names? Do we see the name Levi here? Yes, because of the priesthood, the lineage of that. We'll discuss that later. Do we recognize this, the tribe of Judah, and the importance of that? Why is that? That's correct. That's the line of Jesus, but before Jesus, what was important about that? Yes, they were the southern king of Judah, but other than that, the line of the kings, yes, King David comes from Judah. The priests come from Levi, and the kings come from Judah. We'll discuss more about that later. But shouldn't the line of the kings be the first, like from Reuben? But we'll discuss that later if you're thinking about that. So, Rachel, and when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister. And said unto Jacob, give me children, or else I die. And Jacob's anger was kindled against Rachel, and he said, what do you want me to do? I'm trying, I'm here, I'm doing my part. Am I in God's stead? Who hath withheld from thee the fruit of the womb? He's saying it has nothing to do with me. I mean, it's God's will. Obviously, I have 4 children with Leah. It's not my problem. Where's the problem? Is it with you? God's the one who has made your womb barren. And so Rachel comes up with a brilliant idea. I mean, she's so smart with this. And she said, behold my maid Bilhah. Go in unto her, and she shall bear upon my knees, that I may also have children by her. No, it's not a good idea. Have we seen this happen before? Yes, we've seen that with Sarah and Abraham. There's nothing new here. Do we think God can work through this? That's not my question, whether God is pleased with this or not. But can God work through this? The answer is yes. He absolutely can. We'll see that later. And so Jacob consented, and she gave him Bilhah, her handmaid, to wife. And Jacob went in unto her, and Bilhah conceived, and bare Jacob a son. And Rachel said, God hath judged me, and hath also heard my voice, and hath given me a son. Therefore call good judgment or a
I
bad?
take back.
I think it's
I
bad.
back.
Rachel thinks it's a good judgment. See, God's given me a son, and she's holding her son proudly. But is that really her son? Not quite. But it looks good, she has a son, she names him Dan. But she's really stole a son. I have mercy on the man named Bilhah. She's at the mercy of being a servant. Did she really want that? Did she truly desire that? I don't know. She might have thought, it'll be a better wife for me and my son. But we don't know exactly her thoughts. Abraham, okay, all right. We'll disregard that. No worries. And Bilhah, Rachel's maid, conceived again and bare Jacob a second son. And Rachel said, with great wrestlings have I wrestled with my sister, and I have prevailed. And she called his name Naphtali. And I just want to let you guys know, I want you guys to understand this. Rachel and Leah hate each other at this point. By now they hate each other. And why would this be? Rachel hates Leah because of the children. Leah hates Rachel because Jacob was her husband first. That's obvious. Naphtali meaning my struggle. By naming him that, she's saying, I prevailed, I have two sons with my struggle, even though it's not first. In verse 9 we see, when Leah saw that she had left bearing, having no more children, she took Zilpah, her maid, and gave her Jacob to wife. And Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a son, and Leah said, a troop cometh. And she called his name Gad, which means good fortune or luck. Saying, oh, good, I've got good luck. I've had my fifth child. We're a basketball team. I've got 5 versus year 2. And again, and Zilpah, Leah's maid, bare Jacob a second son. And Leah said, happy I am, for the daughters will call me blessed. And she called his name Asher. And Asher means happy. So Leah has 6 to Rachel's 2 at this point. Really, it's truly 4 of her own, and then 2 of each from their handmaids, from their maids. And Reuben, he's old enough to work in the field, went into the days of the harvest, of the wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them unto his mother Leah. So looking at mandrakes, it's a kind of fruit that they used back then. I believe they used it as for fertility, to aid in fertility. So Reuben finds this fruit, and she thought that Reuben brought them to his mother Leah. And Rachel sees this gift of mandrakes. And then Rachel said to Leah, give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes. Do you mind fixing that top, that border up there? Okay. said unto her, Is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband? And wouldst thou take away my son of mandrakes also? I hate this part. And Rachel said, Therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes. Basically stating, if you give me some of that fruit, I'll allow Jacob to sleep with you that night. I mean, that's gross. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, Thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night. I'm going to pause for just a moment. I mean, I wonder what Jacob is thinking at this point. I mean, there's chaos ensuing in his life, and he's just keeping on. Or what is he thinking? I'm not sure. When Leah approaches, they both want to sleep with him. I don't know how he must be thinking. No, I don't think that. Oh wow, all these women want me. He's like thinking, how can I keep the peace in these relationships? So it's not like a woman, a lady's drama. No, this is like a soap opera. Like Days of Our Lives. But there's so much chaos. What a mess. But he lays with Leah that evening. We see in verse 17, and God hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived, and bare Jacob the fifth son. And Leah said, God hath given me a hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Issachar, which means my wages. Basically saying, this is what I've earned. And Leah conceived again, and bare Jacob the sixth son. And Leah said, God hath endued me with a good dowry. Now will my husband dwell with me, because I have borne him 6 sons. And she called his name Zebulun, which means dwelling. And so now we have 6 children from Leah, 2 of each from the handmaids, and we're still not done. Leah will have 1 more child. You're right, I don't know how much love she's got left in her. And afterwards she bare a daughter and called her name Dinah. Oh, your wife missed this Sunday school. When you go home, you'll have to say, we talked about your name in church today, Dinah. So Jacob has had 6 boys and a daughter named Dinah. There's also 2 boys each from the handmaid, a total of 10 and 1. Dinah, she will become important in a future story, so just keep that name at the back of your head. One of Jacob's daughter. We'll just hold on to that for now. And Dinah means avenged. And so 7 boys, 2 of each of the handmaids, but Rachel still had no children of her own. And God remembered Rachel, we see in verse 22. So what's the opposite of remember? Does that mean forgotten? Does that mean God forgot her? Oh, I forgot you. No, absolutely not. That's not what that means. What is that? What do we mean by that? What do we see here? It means he's blessed her. He's decided to bless her. God hearkened to her and opened her womb. And she conceived and bare a son. And said, God hath taken away my reproach. And she called his name Joseph. And said, the Lord shall add to me another son. She already believes that she's not just going to have Joseph, but she will have another one in the future someday. I signed Joseph like this. I've also seen a sign like this with the dreams and the coat. I prefer dream because it kind of fits his whole life. That raiment was kind of a temporary thing, but Joseph, and we'll talk about that coat later, but Joseph, the name means increaser. Because Rachel knew that she would have more. And so here are all the names of Jacob's children. So far we have 12 children, 11 boys and 1 girl. Ashley, the girl named Ashley, or Asher, oh no, Asher's a boy. Yeah, that's a boy's name, Asher. I have a friend and his son's name is Asher. Marianne. So looking at Joseph, the increaser, was this like a blessing that God had told her? No. Rachel thought she had a feeling that she would be having another child. In verse 25, Scripture says, and it came to pass when Rachel had borne Joseph, that Jacob said unto Laban, send me away, that I may go into mine own place, into my country. Give me my wives and my children, for whom I have served thee, and let me go. For thou knowest my service, which I have done thee. He said, I've worked for you long enough, I'm out of here, I'm going to be leaving. And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, if I have found favor in thine eyes, tarry. For I have learned by experience that the Lord hath blessed me for thy sake. And he said, appoint me thy wages, and I will give it. And he said unto him, thou knowest how I have served thee, and how thy cattle was with me. So Jacob thinks to himself, he says, you've known the work I've done for you. For it was little which thou hadst before I came, and it is now increased unto a multitude. And the Lord hath blessed thee since my coming. And now, when shall I provide for mine own house also? He's saying, when I got you, you had a small blessing, and now it's grown so much because of all the work I've done. Has my work been done for nothing? Where are my wages? said, what shall I give thee? And Jacob said, thou shalt not give me anything. If thou wilt do this thing for me, I will again feed and keep thy flock. He said, I'm going to take care of your sheep. I'm going to take care of your herds if you do this one thing. And remember, what we label as the super crook. And Jacob himself, what did we label him as? A crook. It's time to get revenge, is what Jacob's thinking. It's like, let's make a deal. We're negotiating a deal. I will pass through all thy flock today, removing from thence all the speckled and spotted cattle, and all the brown cattle among the sheep, and all the spotted and speckled among the goats, and of such shall be my hire. Do we think Laban is going to agree to this or not? Why do we still think yes? Because those are typically they're not as strong as the pure and the strong. You know, these speckled and brown, they could be considered weaker. You know, he's like, I don't want them anyway. They're not worth as much. Like, yeah, go ahead. You can take the speckled and the spotted and the brown. Take them. And so Jacob replies, so shall my righteousness answer for me in time to come, when it shall come for hire before thy face. Everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats, and brown among the sheep, that shall be counted stone with me. And Laban said, behold, I would it might be according to thy word. Yeah, he's saying we don't need to, there's no reason to separate them or brand them. I mean, we can easily identify which ones are pure and which ones are lame. And Laban said, yeah, that's fine with me. And so, Jacob's motivation. What do we see Jacob's next negotiation? What is planned for this? We'll find out next week. Sorry, I'm out of time. So I want to pause for just a moment before we close. And I want to make an emphasis on something. So we see this mess with Jacob and these 4 women. Why? Why did this happen? Why did he do that? So we do know and we think to the future that God does use these children in this family, but this is not pleasing to God. I mean, remember, Jacob still hasn't decided to follow God with his whole heart. You know, he states these things earlier at the end of chapter 29. If you do these things for me, then I will call you my God. Did Jacob has he called him his God yet? Has he claimed God for his own? No, he's still calling him the God of my fathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac. So this is not quite my God. Does he believe in God? Yeah. Yeah, he's met the Lord. So he believes in him, but he hasn't made the decision to follow God with his whole heart. People are like this today. I mean, there's a lot of people in America and the whole world as well that we see believing in God. Oh, of course God has to be real. I mean, there's something out there, absolutely. But have they made a decision to follow God? No, maybe not quite. I mean, a lot of people are like that. A lot of people are waiting. Oh, maybe if God does these things for me, then I will call him my God. That's a dangerous way to think. I encourage you all to reflect on this. Like we see Joshua, we see Joshua saying, you choose for your own, but for me and my house, we will serve the Lord. I hope you guys will do the same. We'll close with prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for your blessings, your mercy. I thank you for this story. When I look at it, it's kind of, I have to look away. It's an ugly story. Why did you include this, I may ask? It looks kind of bad. But you said that you can use them, regardless of the mess, of the chaos, the wreck. You can use them for your glory, Lord. I praise you. I thank you for your word. I thank you for the teaching we find in your word. That you can use this, even though there's angst inside the home, you still work on each one of these people in Jacob's family. And you'll work with these boys, we'll see in the near future. Lord, I'm thankful for your blessings in our lives. Help us have full trust, faith, and surrender to you. I pray that you will use us, mold us, and fit us to the works of your will. Bless this time today. In Jesus' name.